Vic Akers Wonderland, and this one is a proper European tie to stick our teeth into. As always, I'm joined by Matt. Matt, how you doing?
It's been a bit difficult since our last pod. Let's say that.
Oh, you could say that. You could say that. I mean, it's not been a great FA Cup weekend for Arsenal all the way, all round, with the senior teams. But let's just get into that wonderful April Fool's European tie. Chelsea win 1-0 on the night, but Arsenal go through to the next round of the Champions League. And straight away, it tells you everything you need to know about how this game was played. For me, we did completely control the tie if it wasn't the match itself. But I'm going to bring you in. I said, do you think Arsenal plan to be as passive or were forced into Chelsea's pressure in the way that they played that night?
I was expecting a totally different game that night. I was hoping that both teams would come out to play, and obviously Chelsea were going to have to go and chase the game, and tempt it they may. But what I thought Arsenal were going to do is they were going to try and look after that 20 minutes, try and go and get that first goal of the night, and completely say, right, now you have to go and score 3. Now you have to bring on those extra players, and that would cause more chaos. It didn't work out that way, but how Chelsea were. It was very much a static. As soon as they got into the final third, it was a scattergun approach. Anyone and everyone was shooting. I mean, the post was probably the player of the match again for some people. But
for some people, no. The player of the match was Daphne van Domselaar. Tell me I'm wrong.
When I say for some people, it'll probably be the neutrals. The fact that post had denied Chelsea 3 times over the course of the tie. Actually, it's probably more than that. The fact that Daphne van Domselaar actually tipped a couple of those balls onto the post. Actually, no, it was more than once or twice that happened. But it was really well, very similar to Arsenal in that we've seen in the past, well organised, drilled defensive machine. It was just one little slip up right at the very end that really cost. At the end, it didn't really matter, but at the same time, it could have been the opportunity. The opportunity was there at the end for Chelsea to go and level the tie, get it into extra time, and Arsenal just managed to see out the game, which was great to see. It's great to see that they're able to do it defensively, but they need to also be able to do that attacking side of the game as well.
I mean, when you look at it tactically, Arsenal we were set up in like a compact mid-block, really narrow, daring Chelsea just to go right, saying, come on, show us what you got, sort of thing. And Chelsea kind of, I feel like they accepted the invitation all game long, personally. Lucy Bronze high, and same with the other wing. The wingers were stretching it, the crosses were coming in. But do you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. We looked comfortable. We just looked comfortable with the whole thing. It was just very, very controlled. Did you ever feel like Chelsea were going to break us down centrally, or did it feel a bit predictable from where we were sitting in the shed end?
Yeah, it did feel very predictable even. It just felt every time that Chelsea were coming forward, they were either going to try and give it to Aaron Cuthbert or Lauren James or hit and hope a ball to Sam Kerr. And it, as I said, in that final third, they had a scattergun approach, and they could put all the pressure on, but they were hitting it over, they were hitting it wide, or hitting it entirely at times. You don't see that on the highlights reel, to be honest, but it was on there. I tried. Just take the Arsenal goal. The Arsenal goal comes from a brilliant run of play. Obviously, I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. But compare how Arsenal scored to how Chelsea scored. Chelsea was just I'm not going to say a little bit luck, because it's Niska has done quite well this season in terms of goals scored. But it was just one of those where Arsenal being tight and just being able to do it. If they were able to do it in the league and the cup competitions, they would be They would be fighting on a full front. Unfortunately, as we've seen, they're not.
Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate, but I think for me personally, in terms of breaking us down centrally and being predictable, I think this is where it kind of tilted it in our advantage. Chelsea had all the space, they had the ball, but there was zero variation. As you said, it became really repetitive. Wide, cross, recycle. Wide, cross, recycle. It was like big fish, small fish, cardboard box, and it just wasn't really working for them, I don't think, until the very end. But yeah, with our I think for me, with our possession, it was really interesting just to watch, because we weren't trying to dominate the ball at all. We had the quick transitions, balls into the channel, and we were very direct with how we were playing. It's just no end product, so to speak. And one of my favourite stars being offside, which was really, really frustrating from where we were sitting.
Yeah.
Because where we had the aerial view, I couldn't tell offside from sitting directly above the goal. I can't tell from that sort of angle until I looked back at the thing. Do you think we missed chances to kill the tie on the counter? The tie was already dead, but just to completely kill it off
100%.
On the counter, or was it just a trade-off for staying so sort of compact?
No, I think I could count 3 times that there was a counter attack, and either the ball was given to the wrong player, or there was I think there was a loose ball, or it just the delivery. That's what I mean. The delivery wasn't right, and that was the issue. I think Beth Mead had a chance to score. She does her usual. Unfortunately, she goes and hits one of the players. If this was Beth Mead a couple of years ago, she probably goes and bends it into the top corner on the other side, and Hannah Hampton just stares at it as if to say, "Well, I can't do anything about that." I think there was one where Frida Marden charged. No, that was the Beth Mead opportunity. Frida Marden was actually no. There was a couple of times Frida Marden was just sort of charging through, and something just for whatever reason she just wasn't able to deliver the right ball to the right person at the right time. If I was to look at performance-wise, Caitlin Ford looked a lot more energetic and ready. And although, yes, there was still the same issues going backwards and forwards that she usually has, she looked a lot more ready and prepared. Although she didn't, half the time the battle with Carpenter didn't pan out right. It was just it was good to see her give to be honest, if I say, I'm probably going to crucify, but a little bit more effort than usual. She gave that little bit more, and that you get a little bit more out of her when you're able to give her a little bit more of a poke. And it's the meme, the guy with the stick saying, "Come on, do something." Sort of that sort of energy is what you have to do with Caitlin Ford at times. I know you're laughing, Lottie.
I am, because it's you look back at sort of games where you think a player can do better. I mean, it's one clean pass, one better decision, and it could have been over so much sooner, if that makes sense. But I've got to give Chelsea some credit where it's due. They pushed us, their intensity went up, the numbers went forward, and eventually Nuskin got her goal in stoppage time. But it came from pressure, not precision. I am going to ask you this. does that late goal say more about Chelsea's persistence or about Arsenal starting to run out of legs? Because by that point, it did feel like the game had turned into pure and utter chaos.
I would say it's game management. To be honest, I did think Chelsea were going to score at some point during that game. It was a case of when. If that had happened in the first 10 minutes, it's probably a totally different game, because Chelsea need to only score two more to win the tie, one more to go to extra time. I did feel Arsenal were going to score as well. Obviously they did, but it was disallowed. But it was going to be a game.
She's never offside. Sorry. It's going to be a game. Yeah.
From the highlights, it actually shows you it's actually her shoulder, so her shoulder's offside. But the thing is, I just wonder, had she have not got a head to it, does Mariona score? Because Mariona was the other player looking to get on the end of it.
It's a possibility, but I don't know what it is with Mariona this year. She's just not scoring loads of goals like she did last year. I mean, she's rubber-stamped her first.
It's probably because she's been found out a little bit more.
Maybe, but I don't feel like she's taking her chances. The last time out at Stamford Bridge, in the first half, she was dancing around the goal. She wasn't going to shoot until we screamed at her to shoot in that second half for her to get her goal. Well, that's what it felt like from being in the lower shed at the time. But I think
the other thing I can think of. Sorry, go on, and then I'll bring in my point. Go on.
No, go for it.
No, I was just going to say, I think fatigue's coming into it as well, is because you're playing the consistent levels of Kim Little, Mariona, and you've got Vic off the bench, or you've got Freedom Arnhem, which might mean that Rene's going to have to rethink the whole formation just for this moment in time, because only having 4 central mids instead of 5 because of what's happened is it's an outside. I'm going to forget my word now. It's an unpredictable factor, so you can't plan for things like that. So instead of having Kyra Cooney-Cross available for this game, I think we would have probably seen Mariona rested or on the bench, so that she got a little bit of rest at this moment in time. I think we're going to see Mariona till the end of the season.
This kind of game, she wouldn't be rested. She should have been rested for Brighton, personally. But I completely get where you're coming from. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Oh gosh. Yeah, no, it's gone. Sorry, guys.
This is why I asked you to go first.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. Actually, I've got a bigger question for you. So we all know we're 2 legs FC. So you have to get it done in the first leg or the second leg. Were we the better team, or did we just play smarter football? I think it could be the difference at this level, personally. Chelsea won on the night. In terms of the stats, possession, space, and possibly chances. I can't remember off the top of my head, but we win the tie through control, discipline, and game management. For me, I think we're just a smarter team. What do you think?
I would say it's that Rene's prepared the team more. Because she's prepared the team more, she's prepared them for. I would imagine that she's got a plan A through probably E and F, and running through those scenarios to say these are the scenarios that I imagine was going to happen. Any more than that, I've got backups for the backups. I think Rene is a lot more aware of more of the modern player than a Sonia Bompasta is. I think Sonia Bompasta is more of just a. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Is more of these are my players. This is what I do, and and we're just going to ride our success out of that. I actually think Sonia Bonpasta needs a team around her more than a team needs her. So you've seen it this season. What's the difference between this season and last season?
The Emma Hayes wheels are falling off the bus. That's the difference for me. Sorry. Well, I've been saying this all year, and I've been sitting and feasting on it and enjoying it.
I think it's a little more than that. I think it's the fact
there is more to it.
The structure is basically collapsing around them. You heard rumours that I haven't even heard of, which was quite interesting. That some of the players
we don't do rumours, we do facts on this podcast. So if you want your rumours, guys, go and have a look on the Twitter sphere. There's a lot of nonsense going on. Let's just put it that way.
If we were to look at Chelsea, no Champions League, only won the League Cup so far, potentially got a chance to win the FA Cup as well. That's still a successful season. But even so, I think there is going to be a lot of players walking away from Chelsea come the end of the season, come the end of their contract as well.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's a bit kind of hilarious because you go back to an interview with Erin Cuthbert, and I think as Arsenal fans, we all know the interview. We know exactly which one it is, and it's just interesting to see how the tables have turned on Chelsea. We've won the Champions League again. They're the ones watching at home on TV. And it's really nice to see them suffer for a bit. I know it's horrible. I know I'm being nasty, but it does open the door for bigger questions. Like, where does this leave Chelsea? And why can't they seem to progress from this level at in the Champions League? Is it a tactical issue? We can look at Emma Hayes. We can look at Sonia Bonpasta. I've just said her name wrong, and I don't care. Is it a finishing? He's not a finishing issue, but could it be a finishing issue in the Champions League? Possibly. Or do you think it's just the ties are against them? I mean, the last few seasons they've been absolutely stuffed turkey against Barcelona, let's be honest.
You can argue those cases, but you still have to play them, and you still have to be able to execute your plans. The problem is when you play Barcelona, it's almost a guarantee that you're not going to be able to beat Barcelona over two legs. The only time you can beat Barcelona is that one-on-one game. Now, Lyon have done it. Arsenal have done it. There's potential for Lyon or Arsenal and Lyon to do it in that, because Arsenal and Lyon play each other in that semi-final. And obviously, Bayern Munich got Barcelona. Bayern Munich haven't been in the final before, whereas Barcelona have been.
I think I saw a stat. I haven't beaten Barcelona in a couple of seasons for Bayern Munich, if I remember rightly. It might have been a men's stat, actually. I'm not 100% sure. Don't take my word for it.
I'm not even sure they played each other in a group game. That's how iffy I am. But what I will say is that both semi-finals are going to be interesting to watch, because how do Bayern Munich approach this will be completely different because of where they are in the Frauen Bundesliga compared to, well, actually they are in a similar boat to Barcelona in Liga F. They're both very much top of the league of their respective leagues, so they're allowed to almost just go out without play, go and win their games, and then come into this Champions League and have the heavy hitters ready. It's a lot of different compared to Arsenal's semi-final against Lyon, let's say that.
Oh no, it definitely will be. And I think the main reason I just got muddled up there, I do apologise, is because I've just realised the men are also playing all the same fixtures, which is really interesting to see. So it's just, interesting to see anyway. But let's go back to the women's football. Our rivalry with Chelsea. it's one of the. I think for me, it's become one of the most defining matchups in the women's game. Whether it's Champions League football, FA Cup, the Subway Cup, or WSL. Every time we meet, it's especially since Renee Ball has come into play. It's tight, it's tactical, and it's always decided on the smallest of details. We march on to Lyon next, which is the 26th of April and the 2nd of May. 2nd of May, we are away in Lyon, and the 26th, we are at home for a 3:30 kickoff, which is going to be fun because the men play Newcastle at 5:30 the day before. So that's going to be, I dread to think what the state of that pitch is going to be in, because Newcastle do not play a friendly game. But anyway, coming up next, I was at the Brighton game at home in the North Bank. Our expectation before the game was, especially after that Chelsea game, was dominate the ball, control the game, find a way through a much deeper defensive setup than Chelsea's. And that's where I do want to start. The game state and the contrast compared to Chelsea away. Brighton was sitting in, they were compact, organised, and sort of playing the game that we played with Chelsea, come and break us down. Do you think Arsenal sometimes find these games harder than the big European nights, especially with them being back to back and so close together?
I think so. I think this what also is an issue is that since moving to the Emirates, Arsenal have lost 5 of the 15 games that they played at Bournemouth. So it's a factor of we gone from huge attendances to only a small little stadium.
Yeah, there was just over 2,500 on Sunday, if I remember rightly. Yeah. It might be a tiny bit higher, but it wasn't higher than 3,000.
There we go. So it's a lot of differences in terms of the Emirates to Bournemouth. Let's just say that. What I think the problem is perhaps that because of how it went on Wednesday, they sort of saw it as a sigh of relief to get over the line, and then they only had, because they played on the Sunday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then playing on the game Sunday. So they had 4 days to prepare for this game, essentially. And the problem is instead of Renee sitting down, having a long think about it on that Friday or Saturday evening, just to say, this is going to be the team, she decided to stick instead of twist. I think the whole team was stayed the same. Now, this is I'm gonna ruin my record here with my stats, but Arsenal haven't been in the FA Cup final since we were there, December 2021.
That was my first cup final. I never want to repeat that again.
I wasn't going to bring it up. It's just the first time that I've been at the final. The reason why I'm bringing it up, Arsenal haven't won the cup competition since 2016, I think it is. Adam would probably correct me someone would correct me if I'm wrong. But either way, if you look at it, it's just been over 10 years since Arsenal last won that trophy. And okay, when was the last time Arsenal won a domestic trophy? It was the League Cup a couple of years, 2 seasons ago now. Now, if you want to be the best, you need to go out and dominate those competitions. So what happened this season? Come to Meadow Park to play. Who was it in the? It was Manchester United in go and lose 1-0. You've gone Arsenal home ties to Brighton, Meadow Park, go and lose 2-0. Something there isn't adding up. And I don't know if it's player rotation, unfamiliar territory anymore, or it's the fact that a combination of things are causing these issues, and that's why they're not able to perform. I also probably perhaps would look at the game against Chelsea was perhaps almost that was the performance. It was a great performance. Which one would be the trade-off? Well, if you swap it around, Arsenal lose 2-0 on the night. That's extra time penalties.
Yeah,
anything can happen there. That then causes a backlog problem with Arsenal versus Brighton. Arsenal lose to Brighton 1-0. I think I could accept that a little bit more, but I've been saying this for too long now, and that's the fact that I've wanted a day out at Wembley, FA Cup final, and I've wanted it for too long, and it's just getting to the point now where this is getting ridiculous. And I don't know if it might be other people say, oh, but we've potentially got a Champions League final in Oslo. I don't want a champion. Okay, yes, okay, well, did you take it? I nearly said, I know you're going to look short, but
you did not just almost say that.
I would like to have the opportunity to play the biggest games in the biggest stadium in England. I had to correct myself there. And I just want to be in that final at Wembley. That's all I'm asking for. One season this is going to happen, and I'm going to get some poppers, and I'll get a party hat, and I'll be celebrating here saying, hey, we got to a final at Wembley. I'm going to grab my tickets now. But at this moment in time, it's just really frustrating. This team has gone to Lisbon from North London and won a Champions League. They've come home from Lisbon, had a competition, had the world's best teams come to them and go and beat them at the end of it in extra time as well. Why can't they get it over the line when it really when it comes to domestic football? That is the problem. That is what's going to have to be looked at, because they need to be able to go and absolutely dominate these competitions, because it is so frustrating that we're potentially going to see Chelsea versus Man City in another cup final.
Yeah, let's see you take the trophy. Sorry. I think when I kind of look at this game, I think tactically it is a completely different challenge, especially against Brighton. We did have a lot of the ball, and I'm not saying a lot, but we had most of the possession from where I was standing in the North Bank. But you look at Brighton, they kept their shape. It was disciplined. The low block gets us every time, and you cut off the chat at the central lanes that we use and make them very narrow. It does force us to go wide, and it just doesn't work. It's not like we don't have the quality. We are comfortable there, but it's more about the tempo and the variation for me. When we're sort of we're playing against a team so tight, and it just we fizzle out and run out of ideas, and it drives me crazy. But it's just, I don't feel they moved the ball quick enough. I did feel they were getting predictable. But that, I guess it's the kind of risks you do take in these kinds of games. You dominate possession. But if this circulation of the ball is way too slow, the defensive blocks just shifts across really comfortably. I mean, Matt, I don't know what you thought of this, but did they move the ball quickly enough, or did it get predictable from where you were sitting?
It was too predictable. It was way too predictable, because it was the same team that started, and you could tell that they looked fatigued. They ran out of ideas very quickly, and when you get to half time and it's 0-0, you're thinking, oh, okay, that's fine. Give it 15 minutes, and hopefully they'll wake up. What happened was Brighton pulled the reverse and went and got that first goal. And the issue I have is that, yes, they did have the low block, but how do you counter a low block? I think I've been saying this for way too long, is playing quick, sharp football, quick 1-2 movements, or quick 3-touch football, think the actual name of it's tiki-taka possession, but essentially you're moving 2 and 3s and you're looking to playing the total football to essentially submit teams into essentially allowing that shot across the box, that low pass across the box that someone can run onto. I think I stand by what I said though, that the team was very tired. They ran out of ideas, and it was almost like a free hit for Brighton. And Brighton are now in their first semi-final ever.
I think what I did like though was our patience. There was no panic. Oh, we've gone 1-0 down. Oh, we've gone 2-0 down. There was just no panic at all. Kept probing, kept recycling, waiting for the gaps to open up, which they did slowly, but it was just taking the opportunity to take it. And I think that's a sign of how far we've come. I don't know if maturity is the right word, but it's much better than it usually is when we come off a high pressure European tie for me. But I have to give Brighton credit here as well. All well organised, incredible. They were just incredible out of possession. They tried to get the game, stay in the game as long as possible, and ultimately it did win them the game. But the key question is, did Brighton offer enough going forward to irritate our back line, or were they too passive? I know they scored 2, but I think that balance is really difficult to keep against Arsenal.
If I remember, the first goal comes from a corner. So again, people are finding these small little ways to find ways to win games, and this is what you can ultimately. That's the game of football, isn't it? You've got to outplay the opposition. But it's, if you look at Brighton defensively, they were really good. I think what helped them is that they were given basically a little bit more of a time to be able to realise. I think what also helped is perhaps the game they were able to sit and watch Arsenal play Chelsea at Stamford Bridge and just basically use that analysis and go, right, okay, that's the game plan, thrown out the window, new game plan, go from there. And I'm sorry, I'm going to forget the Australian manager's name because
He used to manage us.
Is it something?
Joe.
No, it's not John. No, not Joe Montemurro.
Oh, I've missed something. Ignore me.
The Brighton game is it Dean Stojakovic, something along those sort of lines?
I think so. I know we all know who you're talking about. So go on, continue.
I think he would have been looking at that and going, right, okay, yeah, scrap that. Really, let's do this game plan instead. Looked at probably what was happening with the pitch, boring wood, and things like that as well. So he probably did have a very good plan, and him and his Brighton team were able to execute it really well. I think what also probably helped is he probably asked Frank Kirby for a little bit of help.
Yeah,
especially Shankovic as well, former Chelsea players.
No, absolutely. The thing is, one thing, Frank Kirby and Kankovic, they always turn up for an Arsenal game, and it is not. Although they're now playing for Brighton, it is nice for them to put that kind of energy in still, because Frank Kirby's always been a thorn in our side. Let's just put it that way. That's put lightly. Yeah, just kind of looking at this game. Brighton did get the. I think I've already said this, but I'm going to say it again anyway. Brighton did get the balance right. If you sit too deep and you invite pressure all game, this is where we hurt people. And if they opened up, Arsenal can hurt you on the transition, and that's kind of what we aim for at the moment, I feel. But this is where I think we stood out in terms of controlling it. Defensively, mostly solid, but most importantly, we managed to rest some of our defense, i.e. Kate and Cabe. and we let Smila have her first sort of full 90 minutes, which was really nice to see. Even when attacking, there was just enough kind of structure just to sort of like deal with any counters that come back. Yeah.
Brighton's balance was really well done. If you were to look at Arsenal, I can't really think of any real good chances that they had. And that just sort of tells you the story of the game for me.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the atmosphere as well. It was very quiet in the North Bank. I'm not going to lie to you. I could hear the Brighton fans all the way down in the South Stand. It was that quiet, and I was just like, "What is going on here?" And as usual, you start a song, and then the singing group will just restart it and do it at their pace, which was interesting. But do you think the first goal is everything in these kind of matches, or should we be finding ways to break teams down earlier, rather than wait for them to score first?
With games like these, you look at players that, especially in the wide areas, that are going to go and be almost those key players. And at this moment in time, I don't think they were given the opportunity to go and have a go. I think that basically that low block stalled the movement, and Arsenal were just passing the ball around left, right, and centre, almost like a training drill. Well, it's not a training drill, and that's what hurt them.
Yeah, no, I kind of get that. But it's also a case of I don't want to say, they've had a 4 weeks rest, because they have from their last game, I believe. If we look at the bigger picture now, it is about like the professionalism. Arsenal come off a huge European tie. We kicked Chelsea out of the Champions League. I'm never going to get bored of saying that, by the way. We avoided the slip up over there, but we slip up at home. But what do we need to do after the international break? Obviously, we're going into Lyon straight away on the 26th. I think we're playing Villa. Villa could potentially be on the 22nd of April. Going into those two games, what kind of wins will define the push once more for some silverware and climbing up the league table? I know we've got 2 games in hand, because it's not always about the brilliance that we see all the time. It's about patience, control, and doing what's exactly required for me. But what would you want to see?
Well, you talk about the patience, but at the same time, sometimes it takes a moment of magic, and that's one of the reasons why we got Olivia Smith to begin with. Is because of her. I mean, I've lost count how many times I've said it this time on the podcast this season about Olivia Smith. But that first game of the season, no, you're losing the game. What do you go and do? You go and, right, okay, I'm just going to dribble past you, and smash it into the top corner. That's sometimes what needs to happen to sort of uplift the crowd, and in this game it didn't. In terms of what needs to happen after the international break, first things first, I am touching wood here that everyone comes back fully recovered, rested, and without any issues. That's the first issue. That's the first thing. The next thing would be that Rani needs to decide, should be taking this decision. We've already seen that Manu Zinsberg is back in contention because she's now on grass, which is good to see. Potentially Casey Reed is on her way as well. That potentially also means that further down the line, when Michelle Hagerman's already talked about it, she's not going to be ready for the rest of the season, but it is a good sign. So players coming back isn't an issue. The one position that we do have players unavailable for, and that's in the essential areas. And that's where I think something's going to have to happen. I think I am going to stand by it. You look at Lyon. Lyon's injury list isn't even short. It's a clean bill of health. So for this semi-final, again, Arsenal were up against the wall, especially when it comes to injuries. If they can dominate the midfield and can suppress Leon's attacking prowess and almost deflate their attacking options in Dimorne, Diani, Hegerberg. If you can limit, no, Haran's gone now. Sorry, not Haran. Heaps has gone now. Oh no, she's not gone. She's going to be gone at the end of the season. Players that will offer any attacking threat that needs to be closed down, and if you can limit their chances, you can potentially go and win. Now, I think lessons going to be learned from last season from both sides. What will be interesting is that Jonathan Giraldes has got Liam playing a different style to last season. That was under John Montemurro. So I think it's going to be. I think this will be another end-to-end game, to be honest. But first things first, everyone come back nice and injury-free, please.
I think that's the kind of game you want in the Champions League. You want to play the best of the best. And as it stands, we are one of the best of the best at the moment. Might not reflect domestically, but in Europe, we are. We have the trophies. Lyons have the trophies. Barcelona have got a lot of them, and I think Munich's had one before as well.
No, Frankfurt have and Wolfsburg.
Okay, so take that back. Munich haven't won it yet, but they are there for a reason. They're domestically doing fantastic. Lyon, fantastic domestically, but so is Barcelona. But we're the only ones that are not doing well domestically at this point, personally, for me. I know we've got 2 games in hand in the WSL, but they're against, again, Brighton. Who's the other one? Villa as well. And they seem to be like thorns in our sides when it comes to the league games. So we'll see what happens with those.
With that as well is that Arsenal can't afford to lose those games. They need to be having those points to make sure that they are in the Champions League next season if things don't work out the way it hopes to be.
But if things do work out, it's not a major issue, you know?
No.
But we can't say which Arsenal's going to turn up and which Arsenal's going to do. Is going to do the business, so to speak. That's everything for tonight. We do apologise we're a little bit late. I've been snowed under with work. But if you do want to keep up with us, you can keep up with us at VAW Pod on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. I am working on some content for that. You can find me at Lottie _Gunnar. I just changed my handle, so this is ridiculous. I should know this. I changed it myself. Lottie _Gunnar. Matt, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at MaxLR28 on all the platforms.
That's all of us, and that's all from us this week until after the Iceland game. We will be back with an England Lioness roundup, as well as finding out what our other Gooners got up to over the international break. But for now, come on, you Gunners. Welcome back.